So, you can imagine we've burnt our bridges, we've left our jobs, and this way of things is full of uncertainty. And we both understand the enterprise, we both understand internal IT, and we could see this web stuff going on. It's been happening for years, of course. The internet is a revolution. It's been happening years, but we could see it was getting more momentum, and it was in fact affecting the way companies behaved. The consumerization of IT. Look at what's happening with the iPad. In the last few months, 8 million iPads have been sold. And it's finding all sorts of new ways of use. In hospitals, all sorts of new use cases are coming out. And so consumers are increasingly pushing the use of IT and how we interact. And what's happened is that the opportunity, and traditionally it's been the other way around, businesses would lead the use of IT, like word processors, and that would come to consumers. But now, as I say, it's increasingly happening the other way. And part of those technologies has been social networking. And so we saw the opportunity to bring social networking into businesses, because the most expensive and most valuable asset in a company is the people. We all know that. So you want to maximize the opportunity with your people inside an organization. Very logical. So we saw that as being an opportunity. And what we wanted to do is get involved with the community. So there was quite a strong community around Enterprise 2.0, like Web 2.0, but for companies. The way we saw to get involved with that was to create an information portal, because it was still in a. This is 3 years ago. This was still in a educational place. People were still learning. So we went and built this this product, this platform of information. And we got involved with this community. We were writing articles. We were pulling in articles. We created technical resources, calendars for all the events around Enterprise 2.0. We really went to town with this thing. We were over in the States. We were giving talks. We were going to talks, really promoting this. But all the time, we didn't know exactly what we were going to make. We knew we wanted software, but we didn't know where exactly the opportunity lied for us. And then we started to do lots of analysis. And you've probably heard this before, but paralysis by analysis. And I think to a certain extent, we got stuck in that. So we were blue ocean canvas, creating lots of, looking at what's happening in the market, where the blue ocean lies, looking for the perfect opportunity. Have no fear, you can't get to perfection. We were looking for that perfect opportunity to pursue, and really came to the conclusion there is no such thing as a perfect opportunity. You've got to get going with something. That's the first challenge, is to get going with something, to stick to that. And we spent a lot of time researching, and a lot of time as well. Time running out. Time is money. We both have families. We've both got expenses. I'm not in my 20s, as you probably gather from the grey hair. Time was running out. Money was running out. And these are drivers to make things happen as well. And we burnt our ships. So we had to do something. But what happened, this was in 2008, I think. What happened was the global recession kicked in. All the banking crisis came out with prime, subprime. And that caused us to rethink what we were doing. And after all our research, we'd come up with this idea. Even had a name for it. It was called Cascade. And the idea of this product was to find data. We've got structured data. We've got lots of files, email, loads and loads, and we can't find it as an individuals. And companies have huge amounts of data that they can't necessarily find. Knowledge management. It's been something around for a long time that other big companies have tried to solve. Documentum, there's all sorts of other companies. And we saw an opportunity in there to bring Web 2.0 to this established market of information. But when the recession kicked in, it really caused us to think about the value proposition, the return on investment for somebody buying our product. And we felt it wasn't strong enough. So we went back to the drawing board. So after all these months of creating this site, of creating this idea, of going through lots of analysis and challenging it and looking at different ways and architecting it, we threw all of that away, put it on ice, and went back to the drawing board, but much quicker this time. Because, we stopped to think, you've got to move quickly. I've heard it said when you change or pivot, this is Reid Hoffman, I heard him, he's the chairman and founder of LinkedIn, really, really smart cookie. He said, when you pivot or when you change, you keep your foot fully pressed down on the accelerator. And I think, yeah, you can't stop. You've got to keep moving. The other thing he said, which I thought was just brilliant, is he said, having a startup is like jumping off a cliff and assembling the plane on the way down. Yes, that is what it's really like. You're time limited again. You haven't got much time to do these things. And when you're doing it, you realise all of this. You've got to stick to find an opportunity and stick to it. So we came up with several ideas. I think we ended up with 3 ideas. We look back to our past. We look back at, we're looking for an opportunity where the market was growing. So we could be part of that growth. Because a market that's going down, there's opportunities in there, but they're a bit different. But we were looking for a growth market. And we could see that the environment was changing. That had a big influence on the way that people are traveling, for example, and communicating. So we actually looked at a virtual conferencing platform for using social networking to have conferences, even a panel discussion with questions coming in over Twitter or different channels, and then having a billing platform under this to be able to make it, and maybe a real conference every 2nd year as they had a virtual conference, just because of the cost of travel, because of the environmental impact and the recession all kicking in. So that was one of the ideas. The other idea that we had was what's now called cloud computing, and you've probably come across the idea of cloud computing. Again, being pushed with the recession, because cloud systems are multi-tenant systems. So what that means is basically you're sharing the infrastructure, the software with other people, which in theory should make it lower costs. So you're not each having its own company having to have its own power station. You will buy into one power station and share that resource. And so we could see that was happening. We could see the value of Web 2.0 type applications and software happening. We could also see e-commerce was growing. Last 2 years, it's grown 18% in the UK, and it's now worth £60 billion. Yet, the last quarter, we've just announced going 0.5% in GDP, minus 0.5%. So it looks like we're going back into recession. Yet, these other areas are growing. So we could see back 2 years ago that there was an opportunity there. So these are 2 of the ideas, and we had another one as well. And we selected the idea around cloud computing, around e-commerce. And what we saw is that the internet was also filling up. Again, more and more things are going on the internet. So HD on the internet, things like BBC iPlayer, more and more traffic, more and more applications, becomes more and more critical for performance to be fast. You as users or customers get really frustrated, very fickle, and every year getting fickler when you'll just dump it. You get really unhappy about the user experience if it's slow or down or there's a problem. So we saw that as being an opportunity that people would be able to protect their revenues using the sort of software we could create. So that was our first challenge. We went through all of that, we found our idea, and we stuck to it.